Okay, welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Read and Write Seamlessly Throughout All Education with our guest Matt Brown from TextHelp, hosted by the Network of Assistive Technologists. Today, Matt will be taking us through and showing us some different aspects of the TextHelp platform, and as it crosses all of the different options for where the tools are available. Just before we start, I do welcome everyone to enter into the chat as to who is here with us today and where they're joining us from. And as well, I just wanted to take a moment and recognize that there's a lot of unrest in the world at this point, and some of us might be dealing with some of that. So know that there will be a recording of this webinar if those you may know aren't able to attend, or if you have to leave during it. So, and Matt, I think will briefly speak as well to what TextHelp might be able to do to help some of us assistive technologists and the schools that might be in the thick of the COVID-19 coronavirus situation. So again, welcome to the session today. And just before we get into the actual, into Matt sharing his information with us, just wanted to go over a few housekeeping tips and just make everybody aware that if you need captioning, it is available on our link from our main note.ca website, or you can go directly to the captioning document at noat.ca/cc. So that's note.ca/cc. We do invite you to join the discussion and ask questions through the chat window. And throughout the webinar, we'll be attempting to answer the questions as they pop up, as well as at the end. So we'll take some periodic pauses to check on those questions. And the replay link will be available shortly after the event. So again, I'd like to have you join the Network of Assistive Technologists as we host Matt Brown from TextHelp. And as I mentioned earlier, Matt will be helping us understand how students can continue using the read and write tools throughout their entire education instead of checking the tools at the door when they leave the K-12 environment. So both Google and Microsoft campuses have options, and Matt will also showcase the read and write tools with the new Edge browser. So without any further delay, I hand the controls over to Matt. If you want it to take over, Matt, welcome.
Had to unmute myself for a second. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, I'm assuming that's a yes. Oh, here we go. All right, so my name is Matt Brown. I'm the Territory Sales Director here at TextHelp. Here's my contact information. So if anyone has any questions after the webinar or even during, you can shoot me an email and I can answer after. Feel free to reach out any way that's best for you. And I'm happy to help out any way I can. Today, what we're going to be going over, a lot of it is going to be how Read and Write for Google Chrome and Read and Write for Edge can be used in a cloud-based environment. So how our tools that are commonly used in the Chrome browser, so whether you're using Read and Write for Google Chrome or if you're using Office 365, we have basically cloud-based supports that would help students in those environments. Because I know a lot of you are probably already familiar with Read and Write for Windows or Read and Write for Mac, which are install-based programs. So today what I'm going to be focusing on mostly is our cloud-based supports, but also mentioning maybe a little bit about Read and Write 12 and the benefits there as well. And then also the new Epub reader that we just released as well. So some of the updates I also want to mention is what we've recently done is we've created a sign-in option for Read and Write for Google Chrome. So a lot of people think when we mention Read and Write for Google Chrome, it's only for Google users, but it's actually for the Chrome browser. So one thing that you have to use is the Chrome browser, but what we created was an option to sign in with an Office 365 account. Also for those Office 365 users, we also created that option to open our TextHelp PDF reader within the cloud base right from OneDrive. And then we've also created Read and Write for Edge for the new Edge browser, and PDF supports are coming soon, which I can show a quick demo of those because I have a beta version installed. And then prediction and speech to text in LMSs and Gmail and Outlook. So that's something that would be probably super important right now with everything going on. And I know a lot of classes are moving to strictly online or whatnot. So that might be super beneficial right now. So I'll cover that a little bit as well. So some of these higher ed benefits with the cloud-based supports, one, it's easy deployment and easy for students to access. All you have to do is download it from the Chrome Web Store. It can be pushed out by IT very easily. It's not really a local install, so it doesn't really take up any space or anything. It's all cloud-based. You can access it anytime, anywhere. The only really requirement is internet access. We have a lot of additional PDF options that you would not see in Read and Write for Windows, like annotations or drawing tools, etc. And then we also have that LMS support, which a lot of it does work in Read and Write for Windows, but that speech to text part in our cloud-based supports is really good, and it works in the LMS. So that's one benefit there. Voices are automatically loaded, so you don't have to go and download additional voices. And it's super simplistic. So you don't have to, there's not a lot of options, which I guess could be a benefit, but it also could be something that some students would need. But I can get into all that right when we get into the demo. And then for all of you people that already have Read and Write and are customers of Read and Write, these are supports that are already available. So you can simply download it. It can be pushed out, but if you sign in, you don't have all the tools, maybe we just need to put in a domain in our system, but you are entitled to have access to Read and Write for Google Chrome, Read and Write for Edge, Windows, Mac, all of our different platforms. All right, so I'm gonna stop just to see, I think I saw a couple of different questions. Doug, can you share any questions that came out? Because I think there's a couple of them, but if not, I can just keep going.
Yeah, just give me 1 second here. Actually, I'm not seeing any questions at all. All I'm seeing was people letting us know who was here and where they were from, Matt. I think those are popping up on the screen.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess what I will do, just want to mention this, I will stop probably every 15 minutes or so and stop for questions. So if anyone does have any, feel free to type them in the chat box, and then Doug can read them aloud once we get into everything. Sound good?
Works for me.
All right. So everyone can see here, I'm in the Chrome browser. Now, one thing to note is I am signed into Chrome. So if I click here, you can see that's my face and my email. So basically what happens when I sign into Chrome, all my apps and extensions pull over, which is a great thing because whenever you sign into the Chrome browser, everything follows you along. So it doesn't really matter if you're on one computer one day and another computer another day. Everything pulls over once you sign into that Chrome browser. So Read and Write is always there. Apps and extensions, bookmarks, everything's already there. Now, a lot of people, what they will do is sign in with a Gmail account, even though they're a Microsoft district, to save those bookmarks and stuff like that. So if you do that, what we can do is, let's just see here, go into a document right here. You can see these 3 dots on the Chrome toolbar on Read and Write's options. And when I click on it, I have these options for accounts. So if I'm working in Office 365 primarily, I can go into sign with Microsoft, and that's basically going to make everything go like collect into Microsoft's Word Online, or so you can collect vocab list, you can collect highlights, etc. So you can see all these options here within Google Chrome. So these are the same options pretty much that you're going to have if you're using in Chrome with a Microsoft Office 365 account. You can see these voices right here, and these are automatically loaded. So you have a ton of different voice options right here. We have some offline voices, some of these Google voices, which are really, really great. The one downside about the Google voices is they don't have that dual color highlighting option, but all these other voices do, all these other vocalizer voices. You will notice that a couple differences is we have minimal options, and the reason for that is we wanted to keep it really simple for students. You can change the reading speed if you would like. You can have continuous read on, which would basically just continuously read throughout the doc if you're using text-to-speech. You have speak on each word, speak on each sentence, and then we have a lot of different translation options in here. And these, like I mentioned before, are automatically loaded. Right when you download it, these are automatically there, so you don't have to download anything additional. Some other great things is fully localized in Spanish, French, the Netherlands, Portuguese, and Malaysian. So let's just say I switched everything to French here. You can see all the options here will switch to French. All the functionality will switch to French as well. And if you wanted to read text out loud, you just need to switch to a French speaking voice. Okay. So hopefully everyone can hear this. I'm just gonna, everyone knows probably for the most part about read and write and reading in Google and how it works in Google Docs. I'm just gonna show a couple things in here. So if I press play, you're gonna hear the text to speech with a dual color highlighting. Hopefully if this will go through.
Earth is the third planet from the sun and the densest and fifth largest of the 8 planets in the sun.
Hopefully everyone could hear that okay. So then you obviously have your prediction options, your dictionary, picture dictionaries, your screenshot reader, your audio maker. So a lot of these tools are also available within Read and Write for Windows. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to Office 365 because I know a lot of institutions use Office 365. Just note a lot of these, most of these options that you're going to see in Office 365 are also available in Google. So for those who are using Google. So I'm still signed into the browser here with my Chrome account, which is okay. You don't have to, which I will show in a minute. But let's just say I open that same document I had right here. But it looks like I already have it open. So the one thing you're going to know when I'm not signed in with my Office 365 account, I'm not going to be able to collect highlights or collect a vocab list. But once I go into my options here and go into my accounts, I have that option to sign in with Microsoft. So when I sign in with Microsoft, like so, you're going to see those collect highlights and those vocab list builder options automatically appear. So if I wanted to highlight some texts, what it's going to do, instead of collecting to a Google Doc, it's going to collect to a Word Online document. Same as what you would do in Read and Write for Windows, except for Windows collects to a install local version of a Word document. So right now, it's collecting my highlights. These are automatically saved in Drive. And you can see all these highlights right here, ordered by color. Okay, so one other thing I want to show in this environment before I get moving along is the PDF reader options. So if I go to my OneDrive and I locate OneDrive, a PDF. So I'm going to get this higher ed PDF right here. So if I right click on it, and go to open in browser, you're going to see this Microsoft or this PDF open with TextHelp PDF reader. So when I click on this, it's going to open in our viewer. And this is where a lot of the differences are versus what you would see in Read and Write for Windows. So it's loading here. Now for Read and Write for Windows, you have those highlighting options you can choose. You have the text-to-speech options, you have the picture dictionary and dictionary options, you have all these. Now over here is some of those differences, right? So if I want to do text into the document, I could do like hi, and I can make this bigger. And I could also change the size. If I want to make this smaller, I can make it smaller. I could use talk and type, so I could speak into this. So, hi, my name is Matt. I could also use prediction right here. And no, I'm not Matt Damon. But you can see the prediction pops up right here. So all of these are options right within this PDF viewer. So when I press this check mark, you're going to see that it appears right into that PDF. So I can move it around if I wanted to. Whoops. And it saves. And if I wanted to delete it, I could simply press the delete button. Now, some additional things that we have in here is Pushpin Annotations. So this might be something that's really good for students who want to leave quick notes about what they're reading. So maybe this will be on the test tomorrow. What I'll do is make this a little bit bigger, and I'll make this a little bit smaller. So when I press this check mark, you're going to see this PDF annotation pull up right here. So I can just quickly do some quick notes. This will be on the test tomorrow, so I'm going to make sure that I read that in more detail or spend some extra time on there. But it's just a quick, easy way to mark up the PDF, put some quick notes in there. So something great for higher ed. Another thing we have also is this freehand drawing. So if I did the freehand drawing, if I have a touchscreen device, I could simply highlight, I could circle things, or if I want to underline things, I could use that as well. So if I'm using a touchscreen device right now, so I was just writing on my screen, but you could also use your trackpad or your mouse. It's a little easier when you're doing it on touchscreen, but you can also use your trackpad and mouse. A great way to mark it up. And you also have these shapes. So if I wanted to do a box around something, you could change the color of it. If you would like, you could do shapes, lines, circles, whatever it may be. So if you didn't have a touchscreen, this might be an easier option to than the freehand drawing to use with your mouse. So you can also change that line color, fill in the color, the thickness, whatever it may be. So a lot of customizable options right here. And if I wanted to delete them, I could just press the delete button. So let's see here. Another option I have is if I want to write a comment about something, let's say right here, I can highlight text and put a comment. So like I mentioned before with those Pushpin annotations, this is something that Google has where you can put a comment in Google Docs and basically have other people working on the same document as you. This is something that we've added to our PDF viewer. So if I want to write, please review for test tomorrow. And you can also notice over here on the side, you have that prediction piece. You have that talking type. You have voice notes, all that. So once I press comment, you're going to see that stays highlighted right here. And when you click on it, it shows right here. And you can reply to it or leave it and resolve once you're done reviewing that. So Doug, I'm going to stop for a couple minutes and see if there's any questions.
Okay, yes, Matt. Sorry, I just had to unmute myself there. We have had 2 questions come in.
Yep.
And one is there a way to control the formatting when you collect highlights, or will that need to be edited in the new Word or Google document?
Just trying to think this one out loud. So control formatting, meaning if you wanted to make it, so if I'm let's just do an example here. So if I collected, let's say this line, or maybe this one, to basically control the formatting as far as the position, or, so what you can do is you can control it by position or color. So if I wanted to do it by color, so all my colors would stay the same, you can do that. And when I press OK, all those colors should stay in that same document. Formatting as far as the PDF, so if a PDF is a certain, I guess, if it's marked a certain way, then no. If it changes the formatting, it should automatically clear the formatting once you collect the highlights. So I don't think that should be the issue.
Okay, there's a clarification here, Matt. It says when you collected the highlights, there were a lot of returns and the sentences were separated.
I'm wondering if it was how I collected them.
It was $5 breakfast, but I didn't go.
Yeah, so we have to pay the.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Let me try one more time. I don't know if it was how I collected those highlights, but it could.
Yeah, if it's anything.
I'll just add a couple different ones here.
I think that, yeah, because Pat told me there's breakfast there and it's $5 breakfast.
Okay, right on.
And then let's go to
Yes.
collect. So let's see if it does it here. It should clear the formatting. Yeah, so it looks like this one cleared it. And I think what I did was I collected them by where I pressed the highlights. So it should clear all that formatting. I don't remember what the other one I had collected to. Oh, maybe it was when I was using it here. I think it was because of all these. Let's try this. And let me collect one more time. Ah, there it is. Yeah. So I think this is what they were talking about in the Word document. This might have been something that I didn't clear the formatting before I tried to, when I used this document. So it might have been a mistake on my end. So I didn't clear the formatting. I can double check on that and get back to maybe you, Doug, and you can forward it to the person if that works.
Yep, certainly. Yep. Yeah, I will do that. I was just making sure that the chat was showing who had asked that question, and it did. So,
okay, perfect.
So looks like that was Andrea. So we'll get back to Andrea with that. Okay, and then we had another question come in from Russell. Russell just mentioned that he had to miss the beginning of the session today, and he's just curious if you could clarify where we get the Chrome and Edge extensions.
Ah, sure thing. Yeah. So Chrome and Edge I'll show the Chrome extension how you get it. So if you go to the Chrome Web Store, like so, you can simply download it right to your Chrome profile. So if I go to TextHelp, you're going to see the PDF reader and you're going to see Read and Write for Google Chrome. One thing to note is they are two extensions. One's for the PDF viewer and one is for the Chrome extension. I guess this is also, before I move on, were there any other questions, Doug?
Yes, there was not related to that though. So
okay.
Sorry, is it okay to go ahead then? What's the next question? Yeah,
let's do the next question. I can transition into this one right after.
Okay, perfect. Then Vicky is asking, she says she notices that the last icon is saved to Google Drive. If students are using the Office 365 sign-in, would it save to their OneDrive?
Great question, and that's probably there because I'm signed into my Chrome account. So it thinks I'm in Chrome, but even though I sign into Office, what we can probably do on our end is disabled. One thing to note is we did just come out with this a little bit ago, so it's some things that we do want to change, maybe that the PDF, that drive piece, but when I'm not signed in, that should not be an option, which I can show in a second. And that's it, Doug?
Yeah, that's all for the questions at this point.
Okay, so I guess going into both of those last questions, they are kind of related. So if students are using Chromebooks, they are most likely going to sign into the Chromebook with a Google ID, unless IT has some other different setup, but maybe like going in and signing in as a guest or whatnot. But if you're signing into the Chromebook, they're probably using, if you're a Microsoft school or institution, they are probably signing in with a personal Gmail account. What happens when you sign into a Chromebook with an account, it logs you into all your apps and extensions, the Chrome browser, everything. So just how I did everything here is what it would look like for a student. So what they would have to do is sign into the Office 365 account with, if they wanted to use Office 365 things, they would just sign into the toolbar like I did before. Now there's another situation where you can do it without signing into the Chrome browser like I am here. So you can get these extensions when you sign into Chrome, go to the Chrome Web Store. But for those who do not sign into Chrome, you do not need a Chrome sign-in to download the extensions. When I'm here, you can see I'm not signed in. I do not have sync turned on, but I also still have these extensions downloaded. So I have Read and Write for Google Chrome, and I have my PDF viewer right here. So again, all you have to do is go to Chrome Web Store and type in TextHelp. And you'll download it. And once the first time you go, you'll have to accept permissions. And once you go to click on Read and Write, it will automatically push you to sign in with a Google or a Microsoft login. So again, not signed in. Looks like there's one question. So before I kind of move on from this, Doug, I just want to stop and see what the question is.
Okay. Again, I'm not seeing any new questions on my end here, Matt.
Oh, maybe the previous message showing up on my screen. Okay, perfect. I'll keep going then.
Yeah.
So you're going to notice I don't have anything saved and bookmarked or anything like that because this is something I'm not signed in with, so nothing's going to carry over, right? I can still sign in. I can still use, I can still go into my OneDrive. I can open PDFs. Let's see here. I can use the Epubs, but that higher ed PDF that I was in before, simply right click, open, and then open in browser. So something that I was not signed in with before, I can simply click on it and you're good to go. And what this is doing right here in front of me is just automatically signing in with my Office 365 account because I'm already signed in with Microsoft. So this is just recognizing my account and signing me in. And as you can see on this one, you don't have that save to drive option because I'm not signed in with a Google account or anything like that. I'm just strictly signed in with Office 365. So just wanted to mention that because I think that was one of the questions, but when you're not signed in, you will not have that save to drive. Because I was signed into the browser before, it kind of overrides it and knows that I'm signed in with the Google account. That's why there's that save to drive account or option. And again, you can use the Pushpins, you can use all those different tools within here when I'm not signed in. All right, so moving on from this, so you can use everything the same exact way. I just wanted to show a couple things in LMS. So this is the Chrome browser, the extension using it within LMS environment. So I just have a quick Canvas one. I know most people in Canada use D2L, but I'm sure there's some Canvas users as well. So if I go into here, if I just go to like reply. So one thing we did do recently is we updated our Chrome extensions to basically a different coding to work within LMS's Gmail accounts, Outlook, and a couple others as well. Most places that you would put a cursor, we can now use that prediction and speech to text. So if I click on the Read and Write toolbar, you're going to see my prediction right here.
Problem. Now.
So you can use the prediction. You can use the speech to text. If I go to, hi, my name is Matt. So you can use also this. So this is an LMS environment, which was usually very tough to work within this environment because of the screen uses a different window, and it would sometimes refresh and then change up everything within prediction or whatnot. But we did change everything in there. So this might be something for everything with the coronavirus and students working online. Might be a great tool. Might be a great option to use if they're working mainly in that LMS environment. Okay. All right, so lastly, what I wanted to show is this new Edge browser. So Edge came out with a new browser. As you can see, I'm clicking on here. And the big differences between this and their old one is, and one thing that I love about it is they have this sign-in option. And you can notice how all this stuff is kind of related to Google Chrome. And it's because the new Edge browser is built off the Chromium platform. So over here, you're going to see a lot of the same options that you would have in Chrome. It's just with that Microsoft look. To get the Microsoft, the read and write for Edge extension, you would go into those three dots, you'd go into extensions, and then you can go to search extensions or get extensions from the Microsoft Store, and then search TextHelp. Now, you will notice that the PDF viewer is not available yet. I do have a beta build that should be pushed out within the next week or so that I will show. So just so you're aware, it's not available yet, but it will be available soon. But so you just go to the Microsoft Store, you download Read and Write from Microsoft Edge. But the one thing I want to note is the great thing about this is that sign-in piece. So if you have apps extensions or if you have bookmarks, you can now sign in and everything would carry over. It is a new, I think it was released in January, mid-January. So it's different from one if you had before. It might just have to be updated. But this is something that maybe more Microsoft schools would be going to. You might be using Explorer or the old version of Edge, but the way to tell if it's a new version is you have this sign-in option right here. I can also sign in with how I sign into my regular computer. So this is where you log into the computer. I can sign in with that option as well. So this is my Microsoft account. You can see if I go into my OneDrive, and let's go into a document here. You can see I made all these highlights here. I'm not going to cover all the tools all over again, but I just want to show you some differences between maybe this one and what you saw in the Google Chrome environment. Oh, I got to sign in. All right, here we go. So we did have an Edge version for the old version of Edge. This is the newer version of Edge, and we did do a couple updates in here. One thing you're going to know is we do not have that speech to text option that we have in the Google environment for a couple different reasons. I think we might be looking into adding that. We just don't have it available yet because this is so new. So we wanted to get something available for everyone to use. The good thing, you do have that dictate option in Office 365. That's already there. But you have a lot of those same options that you would have in the Google environment, some of those core features that you would have, the screenshot reader, etc. The same thing about the Edge viewer, or the, let's see here, the PDF. If I click on this, I go to open in browser. You're going to see I do not have that speech to text option yet in here. And again, it's not released yet, but I think we might want to get something out there quickly, but we should be adding something in the near future. So you have the click and speak option, as you can see up here. You have those highlighting options. You have some of those pushpin annotations, the drawing tools, the regular annotations. If I do the click and speak option, I can click here.
In this chapter, we describe the composition and functions of this life-sustaining fluid that serves as a transport vehicle for the organs of the cardiovascular system.
Hopefully everyone could hear that okay. If I wanted to, I could also go into here and change the voice. If I didn't want US Ava, I could go to maybe US Tom.
In this chapter, we describe the...
Which I didn't like US Tom as much. But so you have a lot of those same options that you would have in the other environments as well. This is something that we will be releasing soon. So look out for this one. This is called the TextHelp PDF Viewer, and you can look at it. You can find it in that Microsoft Edge store right here. Okay. One thing I do want to do is jump over to the EPUB reader. Now, actually, before I jump over to the EPUB reader, all of these documents that I was reading with the PDF Viewer are accessible documents or documents that can be read aloud. You can recognize the text that have been OCR scanned in. If you have any PDFs that have not been OCR scanned, you can use the Read and Write version 12 toolbar, and you can use the scanning feature on that and scan it and then upload it to Drive. So once you scan it in, or you can use another scanning tool maybe that you have at your institution, but once you scan it in and upload it and it's OCR'd, you're good to go with the PDF viewers. So I just wanted to mention that quickly. And now we can look at some EPUBs. So what I've done here is for EPUBs, you can go to epub.texthelp.com. And you're going to see this option for to install it. So you can install this, and what we'll do is we'll put an icon right onto your desktop, or you can continue to use the epub.texthelp.com. I already have it installed, as you can see here. So when I double click on this, it's going to open up our EPUB reader. So all I have to do here is go to Choose File. I have this economics EPUB right here. And then you're going to see it's going to open. And I have these options to give it a second to load. For some reason, it's not showing up. So epub.texthelp.com, choose file. Let's go to economics. So the viewer, there we go. And then I can use this click and speak.
Welfare analysis. Generally, a welfare analysis involves performing a cost-benefit analysis taking account not just of the overall gains and losses, but also weighting those gains.
Now, one thing with this, the hover speech option, wherever I hover my mouse, it's going to read out loud. So if I click on this, you're going to see all the tools gray out, but wherever I hover the mouse, it will start reading out loud. You can also highlight and press play. You can highlight text as well. You can see here. And if you wanted, you could collect it, the highlights. You also have this screen masking feature, which I think is awesome. When I used to read in school, for some reason, I used to reread the same sentence over and over again. So then what I started to do was read with a straight edge or a ruler. And then this would act, so if we were in a digital environment, if I used computers back when I was in school, I could just simply use this screenshot reader and kind of move along as I'm reading aloud. And this can be customized. If many of you are familiar with Read and Write, you can customize the reading height, the reading color. So if I want a different color, you can change that. You can make it more transparent. So if I wanted to make everything right here more opaque or less opaque, or I could change the background to make it, or the height to make it larger or smaller. And the background if I wanted to make it darker or lighter. So this would have been super beneficial for me. And this is the screen masking feature. So you have a lot of different options within this EPUB environment, and pretty much the same ones that you have in Read and Write for Google Chrome. So I'm going to stop here, Doug, see if there's any questions. And I think that's pretty much about it, unless there's anyone wants me to review anything in more detail or go over something again.
Okay, thank you, Matt. I don't see any questions that have come in while you were talking. Just give it a few moments now if there's anybody that's going to add any questions into the chat. I also encourage people, as part of participating in the webinar, you were muted on entry so that we didn't have background noise in that during the webinar, but you're free to unmute yourself and use your microphone if you wanted to voice a question instead of typing it into the chat. So just give us a few moments here and see if anybody has any questions, Matt.
Sure thing.
Did you want to speak to any, just while we're waiting here, did you want to speak to any of the differences in features of where an assistive technologist might find one version over the other that would be beneficial to use, whether it be a browser-based or a local installation?
Yeah, absolutely. So the browser-based, like the extensions, for instance, are great for students maybe that are at home or need a quick download or don't need a lot of customizable options. We keep this pretty simple. So it's for maybe a lot of gen ed students or students that just want the text-to-speech or maybe the speech-to-text, whatnot. Where you would want to use Read and Write version 12 is most likely in testing centers where they might limit access to internet access, or if you're using the localized version of Word more than Word Online, right? So there's a couple of different instances where you would want to use 12 versus the Chrome versions. And I guess that depends on what environment you're using it in. Testing labs, obviously, Read and Write version 12, but Read and Write version 12 also has some additional options that some students may need. So I guess to answer your question, it's kind of choice.
Okay.
Maybe you try both of them with the students, see which ones they like best.
All right. And you just mentioned that there's sometimes more features in one over the other. Are there any that come to mind?
Yeah. So if let's open up Read and Write 12 right here. There's just more options. And what we wanted to do with Read and Write for Google Chrome is limit a lot of those options that sometimes can get confusing, but obviously a lot of students need that. So we wanted to keep the options in Read and Write, a lot of those in Read and Write 12. And let me just open up this real quick. You do have a lot of those customizable options, not customizable, but you do have a lot more options within the PDF viewer as far as being able to annotate, which will be coming to Read and Write 12. I just don't know when. But if I go into my settings here and show more settings, you're going to see I can change the toolbar to be larger. I could show the text on the toolbar right here, or I could disable that. So if you needed a larger toolbar or a student needed a larger toolbar, this would probably be the best one to use. You could launch it right off the startup, but then you also have additional options within, let's say, add in prediction banks or auto adjusting height, following the cursor. which following the cursor is in Google Chrome too as well, but you can actually add some word banks in there. So some additional options within 12 there.
Okay. I think, I'm not sure if you mentioned this or if it's just something that you and I have talked about before, Matt, but the fact that there's the obvious is that that the standalone version that you're showing right now can be run in a locked down environment and
Yes.
doesn't require the internet. And I think does it still have the testing module?
We do, yeah. So you have that admin setting. So if you wanted to have admin, I forget the password, but what you can do is we have a website that you can go to, support, and then it's called exam mode. So support.texthelp.com. And then if you search for exam mode, so you have these options right here.
Okay.
Admin settings. I might have spelt it wrong. I don't know. But that means basically you can turn off certain tools for the exam, for that exam lab. As you can see here, voice, show more settings. So you have all those options right here. You can upload a list. And if you would like, I can send this out. So import users from CSV. What I can do is, Doug, if you would like, I can send you this article so you can share out if you would like.
Okay, that'd be great, and I can do that with the those who are registered, and put it in the replay link as well.
I could probably put it in the chat. Actually, that would work.
Okay, yeah, if you have it there, that would be great. And there was a comment here from Vicky regarding the fact that version 12 desktop also allows students to use the OCR feature to scan through a PDF document.
Right. That's a big one. Yeah. So that's one thing you would have to do in Read and Write version 12 is scan it and then upload it to your drive if you want to use the cloud-based. But that's a huge benefit for Read and Write version 12. Correct. Thank you, Vicky.
And Kathy, yes, there will be a recording of the webinar posted within a few days. And Vicky also was asking, could you open an EPUB from OneDrive?
Not yet. So what you would have to do is download it or have it saved and then upload it, not from OneDrive yet. You can from Google Drive. So that's something we're looking into. I just don't know if it's like an extra permission or whatnot within Microsoft environment.
Okay. Okay. So not seeing any other questions coming in. I want to still give people the opportunity to type if they have a question they'd like to ask Matt. And at the same time, just a reminder that if anybody'd like to unmute themselves and be able to speak instead of typing, that's an option as well. So, and then did you want to just review, Matt, as to what the opportunities are should a school or an organization be looking to take and make use of the TextHelp tools during our upcoming shutdowns and home studies and that, as to how we might go about that?
So I think we plan on making an official announcement. And I guess before I speak on anything and promise anything, we do offer pilots. So if that shutdown, I don't know what the announcement's going to be, but we do offer pilots, and typically those can last from 30 to 90 days. So that might even run to the end of the school year. So if people do need help with those online supports, get in touch with us, and we're more than happy to see if we can turn on a pilot for the end of the school year, till the end of the school year or whatnot. But there should be an official announcement, I think, coming soon that for anyone that doesn't have a license already, we're happy to help out.
Okay, that's great to hear. So if I understand what you're saying correctly, is regardless of the announcement that's coming either later today or sometime next week, that announcement would be at least what you've just offered of running a pilot to more than likely to the end of the school year. So that would cover the ability to use the tools.
Right.
Okay, perfect. And that's a great help, because I know that there will be a lot of students who might not have the opportunity, or campuses that might be scrambling to have something that works easily from home as well.
Right.
So, okay. And I appreciate, Matt, I see that you put that the link to that support document for the exam mode in the chat there. And are there any other questions that were on anybody's mind in regards to this? Okay. All right, I'm not seeing anything else coming in. And again, reminder that people do have the option to speak if they'd like as well. So, okay. So, well, I do definitely want to thank you, Matt, for being able to present this information for us today. Take us through a tour of the various different platforms that TextHelp offers their tools on. It's quite expansive and can quite quickly get confusing if you're trying to manage it for students that are using different platforms. But I do encourage anybody that is confused, as I have been in the past, trying to get the straighten out all the tools. Matt's a great help. He's got his information on the screen right now in order to be able to contact him, and I definitely encourage you to be able to do that and reach out to Matt so that we can you can get your questions answered and have him walk you through it. So
Yeah, and if
okay.
anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to set up a call or a quick one-on-one webinar to review everything in more detail and slow down or whatnot anytime. So just let me know and I'm happy to help.
Yep, and I know you're excellent at taking your time and explaining things in multiple different ways to people that are trying to understand it inside out, like most of us assistive technologists want to be able to do, so we can then turn it around and apply it to those that we're supporting, which is fantastic. Yeah, that's a fantastic to have a support like yourself, Matt. So, okay,
thank you.
Well. Thank you again, Matt. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and the new tools with us. And I thank everybody for participating and joining us today in this webinar hosted by the Network of Assistive Technologists. And do encourage everyone to keep an eye on the events website, because there will be more webinars coming up. There's a few scheduled in the near future as it is. So, and remind everybody to stay safe. And without AT, you can't spell education. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Matt.